Thanks, Nsibanyoni-Mugambi. South African Airways has grounded an unspecified number of its local and international flights. In a statement released, the national carrier says it was in the process of consolidating selected domestic flights. For more on this, I'm joined in studio by Phakamile Hlubi-Majola. She's the NUMSA national spokesperson, Zazi Nsibanyoni-Mugambi, SACCA president, and Mashudu Raphetha, who's the president of the National Transport Movement. Thanks so much all for your time. Zazi, perhaps I'll start with you. In December, after the strikes by unions specifically were blamed for reputational damage and more to SAA. So I just want to find out what your relationship is like with them now.
I think besides reputational damage, I mean, SAA grounded the flights themselves initially. We must put that straight. But with that said, the strike, we were blatantly clear about the fact that we are not happy with the leadership of South African Airways. And we also said that the board needs to resign because they're not helping in turning around the airline. So that's still our position today. We think it's worse with the events that have taken place just today that we found out of the numerous cancellations. So we need proper leadership at SAA. We need government to come in and fund the airline as promised when they undertook to voluntary business rescue. You cannot sit how many days after we were told by the business practitioner, last week Friday, we were told by Sunday if we don't get that money, such things will happen. And yesterday we just saw a statement from SAA saying that should there be any cancellations, they will inform the public. Lack of leadership. Today, it's all over the news that flights are cancelled. No one knew. As stakeholders, we didn't know ourselves. So something has to change, and this wishy-washy attitude by government needs to change.
Mashudu, talk to us about your relationship with the business rescue practitioners and the kind of relationship that you have there.
All right. On the 15th of January, when we met the two business rescue practitioners, we requested that we needed to have a bilateral meeting between us and the business rescue practitioner. Indeed, they offered that audience yesterday. We met them. We were discussing other measures that can be done in the interim, because we did highlight that it will affect our members if we don't get that funding. But we actually we knew 3 years ago in 2017 that we will be in this situation. We decided to go out on our own research, and we brought key initiatives, which were 44 of them. We engaged government last year in August, and some of them they were implemented, but then we were assured yesterday that funding will be made available before the end of the week. And this morning as well, we were also assured that workers will even receive salaries on time. And we have passed the stage where we will blame anyone at the current moment. We are looking at government to ensure that it looks at the 10,000 direct employees that are employed by SAA. Not only them, but even 45,000 of those who rely in the borders of the Republic.
Okay, let's go to the workers. Phakamile, we saw that there was a wage agreement reached in November 2019 after those strikes, and now we're hearing unconfirmed reports that retrenchments may almost certainly be on the cards for workers associated with SAA.
I think first and foremost it's very important for us as NUMSA and SACCA to correct something that Mashudu has said. We certainly disagree with the notion that we're past the stage of blaming. We need to ensure that those who brought us to this disastrous situation are held to account. We are here because government has consistently failed at all levels. They failed SAA, they failed workers, they failed first and foremost when they refused to support the turnaround strategy. Failure by government and the board to back the turnaround strategy resulted in SAA not meeting its target. SAA has now collapsed, it's now under business rescue. Government again in 5th of December through the office of the DPE promised us that there would be working capital to the tune of 2 billion rand, which would be paid out in good time, I might add, to fund the business rescue program for January and February. To date, that still has not happened. All we are getting are assurances and no actual confirmation of what will actually change. Under the same leadership that continues to exist under the Pravin Gordhan as the Minister of Public Enterprises, under the same useless board which has brought us to the brink of collapse, under the same EXCO that has clearly consistently demonstrated that it's not interested in turning around this airline or rooting out corruption, workers are again right back where they started. So unless that money actually materializes, we're not believing anything. I think it's become very clear to us that we have been failed. If indeed government was serious about providing that capital, they would have done so by now.
Okay. Then we've seen, if you've both expressed unhappiness with the board, we've seen the resignation of Martin Kingston. You believe that's not enough. What else needs to happen?
The rest of the board must follow suit. Their role is actually non-existent right now. The BRP is in charge. There's a perfect time to put in place a board which is fit for purpose, that is fresh, young, not connected to anyone politically, because this political interference must stop, so that we can see real change within SAA and how SAA is managed. It's been years of us screaming and shouting, marching, writing letters. The penny has finally dropped, apparently, according to the president, and now you must act.
You seem to have very differing opinions when it comes to this.
My opinion and the position of the National Transport Movement is that we have got the airline at the brink of collapse. What we need to do is that we cannot go back in those ways where we just use amandla. We need to provide solutions, and we have provided solutions. We were assured yesterday, and we are confident that those key initiatives, one of them, we own a ground handling license. We can immediately correct that issue through insourcing, and that the business rescue practitioners assured us that the A&M, Alvarez and Massal, will be interrogating each and every key initiative that we submitted, 44 of them. So we are confident.
What solutions then does NUMSA have for the challenges faced?
Well, NUMSA and SACCA have devised a very specific turnaround strategy, which we presented both to DPE and the Office of the Presidency first of all in the days during the strike, and again after the decision was made to announce voluntary business rescue. This is why we are so concerned, because if government at this point still has not shown that it is committed to the business rescue process, then in terms of what we were told by the business rescue practitioner last week, Wednesday, is that none of those plans can ever be implemented if the 2 billion rand working capital, it does not materialize. If that 2 billion rand working capital does not materialize, SAA faces liquidation. And this was one of the things that NUMSA and SACCA already highlighted from the time when government made the announcement that they were going to subject themselves to voluntary business rescue. We were concerned that this voluntary business rescue was nothing more than liquidation in disguise, because we know that there are some in government who are determined to liquidate this airline, who only want to hand it over to the private sector. This has been confirmed through utterances made by Minister Pravin Gordhan as well as Finance Minister
Tito
Mboweni. So we're not surprised that at this point neither one of those departments have actually done the work of guaranteeing that that funding is available. We believe that this is deliberate sabotage, and the only way that they can change our minds is to demonstrate by putting their money where their mouths is and put this money on the table so that the rescue can take place.
Thanks all so much for your time. I think it's a discussion that needs more ventilation. We appreciate you being in studio. Phakamile, Hlubi-Majola, NUMSA National Spokesperson, Zazi, Nsibanyoni-Mugambi, SACCA President, and Mashudu, Raphetha, President of the National Transport Movement, joining me in studio there.